I recognized early on that Bobby was kind of the star of just about every program, whether it was, the Saturday show or he was the guy. And the best you're gonna do with Bobby was make Bobby look good. Although he didn't need a lot of help. I mean, he was a funny guy. And I just, I played that. I played that I'm the nerd, I'm the loser, and be a loser. And every once in a while I got him I became a good singer, and there were so many times that they would cut something because I cracked him up, and, obviously that would not go over. So, there were plenty of times where I broke him up, and we would have to, start over and for the tapings,
That is great because he's got to be a hard guy to break. He's usually the guy that makes other people laugh and break.
Yeah, there's a couple of episodes at prime time where you could see he's like holding back a laugh with when we're carrying on. But I remember Macho Man's bachelor party on prime time was such a great time, and there were a couple of times during that taping that we had to stop, and because I got kind of crazy and just kind of not being consistent with the character, and I just had Bobby rolling. It was really nice. I mean, it was such a great format for a guy like me to just have fun and not worry too much, because it was so much tape, and so many times Bobby and I nailed something on the first take. We would always shoot those shows in less time than what they expected, because generally the first take they would just, all right, we got it, we got what we need, go next. So it was good. I mean, I'm sounding a little egotistical here, but I think that was. You think about the character and how he's so not a physical kind of wrestling kind of guy, but he did have some success because, Bobby liked working with me, and I think I brought out the best in Bobby, a lot like Gorilla did in a different way.
For sure, and it's great that when Bobby likes you and you're able to have that chemistry, what you see on screen is just gold. I mean, just you guys were great together. I would always laugh. He would make fun of you saying your parents ran away from you when you were a kid.
Right.
Like the opposite of what you would think. Just funny stuff like that. Did he ever kind of break you at all and crack you up with some of those funny one-liners he would say?
All the time. But I would try to make it work with the in sequence, without them having to cut and start up again. He would crack me up, and I would start yelling at him or something, just to cover up what he was doing. I mean, those first few weeks on that Bobby Heenan show, we both made each other laugh, and we had a lot of fun during the commercial breaks, and had no idea who the next guest was going to be. So, and I think they did that purposely, just to see what happened. And then, they had so many, they could always retake it. Just to give you an example, let's say one of the guests was a 10-minute sequence. We might shoot 20 minutes, and they edited the best 10. So there was room to, back up and do something. But it almost never happened that way. It always just seemed to, the one with the stripper, not the stripper, the porn star. I don't know if you remember any of the episodes, but there was this legit porn star, Heather Hunter, her name was.
Yep.
It was such a funny sequence that whenever we would break to commercial, that's where we would do our laughing. He was a pro. Bobby was he was a pro. And occasionally he would repeat himself, and I would have to tell him he repeated himself. Well, I used that joke last week. And then they would reshoot that sequence or something. But it was great. I mean, it was, unfortunately for me, because it was my first acting job, I didn't appreciate what I had until years later. Years after I was out of WWF, just what a great gig that was, and how great wrestling fans in this country are. I left there not realizing how many fans there were of Jameson in the country, and I moved on from WWF and had a fairly successful acting and writing career. Never really thinking that anybody would ever remember Jameson. And it wasn't until I was out of there like 20 years, I mean, literally 20 years before somebody found me and said, hey, there's stuff all about who's the actor that played Jameson. You need to take credit for that. And there are people that want to, friend you on Facebook. And I had no Facebook page then or anything. I was just in my own world, really. I didn't realize till, which is sad for me, because I didn't enjoy my years there like I should have, because I didn't realize just how many people I was reaching and touching until many years later.
It is crazy. These wrestling fans, they have such a long memory. They'll remember, the good times. Obviously, WWF was like kind of on a bit of a roll at this point. But they always remember those classic characters, and they remember the little feuds. Like you and Bobby had that little feud and that great chemistry. So that's something fans truly never forget. It's pretty cool.
Oh, my God. I get messages all the time, and I get calls to do interviews and to go do signings. And it just, I'm so amazed at how many people, like people come up to me and say, I remember when you did this, and I don't even remember doing that. So...
It is crazy that these fans, I mean, they're so loyal to wrestling. They love wrestling. They remember all the characters. But what happened, obviously, primetime kind of ends. So what happens with you? You basically become the Bushwhackers manager with Luke and Butch. Is that something that you kind of were for, or you were against that part?
At that point in time, there was the WWF was under a lot of duress when they made the decision to end primetime. And I think it was a cost-saving measure. Raw became just, everything was shot at the arena as opposed to the studio. And for me, being a New York actor, the primetime gig was so perfect, because I would go to Stamford, Connecticut every third Monday and shoot everything for 3 weeks. Shoot 3 weeks at a time. So it was good money. It was 1 day of work every 3 weeks. I could, take other acting jobs, and it was perfect. But when they went to Raw, the format changed to Raw, I was having to go on the road every 3 weeks, and it was not good with me. So I loved working with the Bushwhackers. I loved the fact that even after everybody became a wrestling character, and that Vince still wanted me to be a part of it. I really appreciated that, but it wasn't good for my career in terms of I had to make a decision whether I'm just going to be Jameson or I'm going to be an actor and do other things. So, it was fun while it lasted, but it was I think I think my getting out of my contract was a relief to both me and the WWF, if you get where I'm coming from.